All right, guys, so here we're working on drawing the Lewis dot structure and the structural formulas for CH₂NF. So first off, as always, we start looking at our Lewis dot structures for each element. And we have our carbon, which makes 4 bonds, hydrogen, which makes 1, nitrogen, which makes 3, and has a non-bonding electron pair as well. And fluorine, which makes 1 bond and has 3 non-bonding electron pairs. So I like to make sure I identify my bonding electrons just to make sure I make the proper number of bonds with everything. So let's start off with my carbon. You can start off with your carbon or your nitrogen here, both of which make multiple bonds. So I'm going to start off with my carbon and have my 4 valence electrons. I'm going to put a couple, and I'm going to actually bond that to my nitrogen because, you know, that has to be a connecting molecule. So what happens here is you guys could go a couple different ways. You can put the hydrogens there. And then when you're trying to figure out where to put the fluorine, there's 2 options. You can put the fluorine either on the carbon or the nitrogen. Let's see what happens when you put it on the carbon. And then you'll hopefully realize the problem with that. Now, the problem with this is these unpaired electrons which bond to nothing on the same atom. So that means you're going to have to move something around. And it doesn't really matter what you're going to move around here. So I'm going to move the fluorine around here. You could have just as well moved the hydrogen around. I think I forgot a dot there or erased it by accident. So I'm going to put the fluorine over here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we have these adjacent atoms, which need to make 1 more bond. So they're going to form your double bond in there between the nitrogen and the carbon. So you're sharing 2 pairs, and your carbon makes 4 bonds, your hydrogens all make 1, your nitrogen makes 3, and your fluorine makes 1. Now it's not always to that number of atoms, it's that number of bonds. So when you're drawing the structural formula, so you draw your elements in the exact same places. Here we go. So drawing your bonds in here, there's single bonds to the hydrogens, double bond to the nitrogen to the fluorine, and fluorine and nitrogen still have those non-bonding electron pairs, which we have to account for. So that's our Lewis dot structure for CH₂NF.